Hello everyone. Last night we ran into an issue understanding how to animate based on anchor points. As I explained during class time, an anchor point is the point of reference from which any transformation change that you apply to a movie clip will be referenced from. That is, think of it as the center point, the center of gravity as to where anything that we do to a movie will be referenced from. So if I rotate a movie, that will be the point around which the movie rotates. If I scale, that would be the point of reference from which I scale. Basically, anything that has transformation over time, temporal changes, will be done based on that point of reference. So with that said, the one thing that we didn't get to see during class time is that you actually can do this in a couple of ways. The way we were doing it in class is we were digging back into the movie clips to change the position of graphical elements inside the graphics. So if I imported an image, I would offset the image by going back into the graphic and changing the position of the image. What that would do is it will retain the position, the original position of the anchor point, whatever it was when you created the graphic, and you're simply offsetting the contents of the graphic. That's one way of doing, of replacing or taking advantage of the fact that the anchor point is always going to be where you leave it. The second way of doing anchor point changes is by actually modifying the anchor point. So I'm going to show you both ways in this movie clip. We're going to try to recreate the exercise we were looking at last night of the planet, of the moon rotating around the Earth, and then the Earth rotating around the sun. So let's take a look how to do this. The first thing I'm going to do, like we determined last night, is animating the moon. So I'm going to import the moon graphic. By the way, the shortcut to import to stage is Control R, so you will see me using the shortcut from now on. So Control R, let me go ahead and look for my files, and there is my moon graphic. So I've imported the moon, and this, as you can see on the Properties tab, it's a bitmap. What I'm going to do is I'm going to convert it into a graphic, so I'll select it, and then I'll press F8 on the keyboard, and I will make this one the moon graphic. I'm going to switch its type to graphic, and then I'm going to click OK. Now disregard that is a little issue that I'm having with my computer, my graphics card. So there's not two moons actually, and it looks like there's two moons. Once I go in and come back out, you'll see that it disappears. If you're having an issue with that, then simply double click it and go back up, and you'll see that it's a ghost on the graphics card. So that done, what I'm going to do, since this is now a graphic, as you can see under the Properties tab, I am going to select it once again to turn it into a movie clip. So I'll select it, press F8, and now I'm going to call it Moon Movie Clip. I'll make sure that instead of a graphic, it is now a movie clip, and I'll click OK. So what I've done is I've created three levels. The top level is the Moon Movie Clip, which is what we're looking at right now. As you can see, this is a movie clip in the Properties window. If I double click to get inside that movie clip, now I am inside the movie clip Moon MC, and I am looking at the moon graphic. And then if I double click on the moon graphic, I am at the image level. Like I said, we've created three levels. So let me go back all the way to scene 1 so that I'm looking at the movie clip, at the moon movie clip. Then I'll double click to get inside it. And here I can animate the graphic. The moon graphic can be animated at this level. So I'll go ahead and create Motion Tween, and as I said before, I'm doubling this so that it slows down quite a bit. So I'm going to press F5 since all of my keyframes, all of my frames, of animation are highlighted. If I press F5, they'll duplicate. You can actually just do one at a time if you want to. Select only one and keep on pressing F5 by incrementing one at a time, or you could select a range of frames the way we had it and duplicate, or you can place your mouse, select the frame up to which you want to extend, and then press F5 and your frames will be extended up to that point. With the time marker at the end of that timeline motion tween, I am going to go to my properties window and I am going to enter a value of 1, and then I'm going to switch my direction to counterclockwise so that my moon is animating counterclockwise. And as you can see, when I scrub the video, the moon is rotating to the left. So with that done, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go inside the actual graphic, and I am going to, so I'll double click to get inside that graphic. I'll double click. Now I am at the level of the moon graphic inside the moon graphic where I am seeing the image. And then I'll click and drag that moon down, and I'll take advantage of resizing it at this point as well. So I'm going to go ahead and resize to make it substantially smaller, and I'll place it somewhere around here so that I can then place my Earth images in this area. So when I go back up to my moon MC, when I scrub, the moon is rotated in a much wider radius around the center. This is the way we were working during class time to offset artwork to the anchor point. So obviously this is my anchor point in the center, and my artwork has been offset inside the actual graphic by offsetting the picture, the actual bitmap. And as you can see, that is the result. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back up all the way to the top, and I can delete this right now. I don't need it on my stage. If I look at my library, I can see that I have my Moon MC saved inside my library. So what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and select that and delete it, and it's empty. Now the next thing I did in class is I imported the Earth image sequence into its own movie clip, and for that we created an empty movie clip. I'm going to do that. There's two ways of doing that. You could click on the little shortcut under the library tab, or you could go to insert new symbol. Either one of the two is going to work. So if I click on, let's say, the shortcut under the library tab, I am going to call this one Earth MC. And make sure that it is a movie clip. I'll click OK, and that produces an empty movie clip. Inside this one, I am going to import the Earth images. Now the Earth images, I am going to select only the first one, and then I'm going to click open. And the computer is going to ask me, hey, it seems like this is part of a sequence. You'll say, yes, it is. Just go ahead and import everything as a sequence, and it imports every image as a frame within that animation. Then with that done, I can now go to the scene 1 area where my main stage is, and I can go ahead and, at this point, I can go ahead and create a new movie clip where I'm going to include the moon and the Earth together. So I'll go ahead and do this one by saying insert new symbol, and I'm going to create a movie called Earth Moon. Is what I believe we called it. Earth Moon movie clip. Click OK. And in this one, I'm going to have two layers. The bottom layer is the Earth. The second layer is the moon. So I'm going to drop the Earth MC into this, and I'm going to use my Align tool to center it to the stage. Now you can get access to your Align tool by going under Window and find Align, Control K. If you don't have it open. It comes open as default, but if you don't have it open, you can always go Window, Align. And it works the exact same way as the Align tool works in Illustrator or Photoshop. Either one of the, basically any tool that has an align, any one of the multimedia tools that we've been working with that has alignment capabilities allows you to do the same thing with the Align tool. The second thing I'm going to drop in here, sorry, I actually made a mistake. I put in the moon in the Earth in the moon layer. So I can always cut this, and I'll cut that by going Edit, Cut, and then selecting the frame where I actually want it to go, which is the Earth frame, and then I'll paste in place, which is Control-Shift-V on the PC, Option-Shift-V on the Mac. And now that movie clip is where it belongs. Now let me select the moon, select the first frame of that particular layer, and then I'll put in the moon MC into it. Now, watch what happens when I try to center this specific graphic. It actually centers the artwork, this specific movie clip. It centers the artwork because there is no point of reference in the center. Remember, I had offset that moon, and the program sees the moon as the graphic. It doesn't see the actual anchor point. Fortunately for us, it gives us that visual guide of having the little marker to say this is actually your anchor. So my task is to now match that anchor to the center of the stage. And there you have it. I just simply use the arrow keys to do this. And let me go ahead and go back to scene 1 and drop in the Earth Moon movie clip so that we can see what we're getting so far. Let me do a test on this. There's the test of the moon going around the Earth. So we got this far yesterday. I think everybody understood things up to this point. Then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to offset these two things together at the same time so that I can place the sun in the middle. First things first, I need to resize this. Obviously my planet is gigantic compared to the size of the planet that we saw in the original movie. So I'm going to resize this on the main stage. And that looks, I'm really eyeballing this, so I'm not going for perfection on this. And I'll move it so that it's somewhere around here, let's say. Now you notice that when I use my free transform tool, take a look at the center of that particular clip. You see the little white dot that appears in the center? That is actually your anchor point. That is the point of reference on which all of the things that I'm going to do to this movie clip, the moon, Earth Moon, I'm sorry, will be referenced from. So wouldn't it be nice if I could use that tool to modify the position of that little white dot, the anchor point? And that's what that tool is for. The free transform tool allows you to do that. If you notice, when I get really close to the dot, you'll notice that I get a little circle around my mouse, next to my mouse. And that means I am rolling over the anchor point. So if I click that and press shift as I am moving it up, I am changing the point of reference of that particular movie clip. The anchor point is being moved. And I can freely do that. I can move it without any constraints. If I don't want to constrain it, I can just go ahead and move it. You can also use constraint tools if you want to be able to move it and maintain the position based on a specific axis. So making that change that I just made, moving that anchor point down, moving the anchor point this way up, I'm sorry, makes my whole movie offset to that anchor point. And you'll notice that if I bring this down towards the edge of the movie clip, that is, I am trying to place my anchor point in the center of the stage, I can now go ahead and animate that layer. And let me go ahead and animate this layer. And this one I'm going to extend 4 times. 2, 3, 4, so that I get quite a much slower rotation of the Earth. Let me go ahead and place my time marker at the very end of this, go to my properties window and rotate once. And I'm going to make it counterclockwise, so now my rotation will be around that point. All I need to do now is simply create a new layer, call it Sun, and drop my sun image into it. Then when I test my movie clip, it looks exactly like the one we were looking at during class time. So, as I've shown you, there are several ways of using the point of reference of the anchor point for changing the way that property modifications affect the movie clips. I can dig myself in all the way to the graphical level and start changing the artwork itself, as we did with the moon. We offset the moon, the actual image of the moon, the actual bitmap. And or we can also take advantage of the free transform tool to change the position of the anchor. Which way is the right way? There's really no right way of doing this. You can do it either way will work, as long as the result is what you're looking for. As you can see, we did 2 different types of anchor modifications, and the result was basically the same for both of them. The moon rotating around the Earth is way number 1, and the Earth rotating around the sun is way number 2. I hope this clarifies the confusion that we had about anchor points last night, and I hope you enjoy. See you next week.